Hey everyone, welcome to our podcast, High School Memories, where we explore the issues that shape the lives of young people today. I'm your host, Melika, and in today's episode, we'll delve into the fascinating and often complex world of peer pressure in schools and how it can influence the decision-making process of teenagers. This topic is very crucial as understanding the dynamics of peer pressure can shed light on how teens make choices that affect their academic, social, and their personal lives. So let's begin by defining what peer pressure is. Peer pressure is the influence that friends, classmates, or peers will exert on one another, often to conform to certain behaviors, attitudes, or expectations. This influence can be both positive and negative. So let's start with the positive peer pressure, which positive effects of peer pressure in a classroom include motivation, collaboration between peers, adaptations to positive behaviors, greater norms and values, healthy competition, etc. Positive peer pressure can really motivate students to work harder and perform better academically because when they see their peers actively engaged in the learning process, then they're more likely to follow suit. Peer pressure, positive peer pressure, can also encourage collaboration or teamwork, since students may feel compelled to participate in group projects or even study sessions, which can enhance their learning experience and their social skills at the same time. Positive peer pressure can encourage teenagers to build positive relationships, to develop empathy, practice effective communication. It can also create a healthy sense of competition, which pushes students to strive for excellence. So, for example, when students observe their peers achieving academical success, they may be motivated to set higher goals for themselves. For example, I have been a healthy competitor as well, because when I've seen or if I've been surrounded by people who strive to, for example, do good in a test or be the best in class, then of course I felt compelled to do the same. So I'm thankful to be a part of a classroom where peer pressure was mostly positive. Classroom peer pressure can also help establish and reinforce positive norms and values. For example, when students encourage each other to act with respect, honesty, and integrity, it can foster this positive classroom environment. As well as students can adapt to these positive behaviors, such as being punctual or participating in class when they see their peers doing the same thing. So it's important to note that the effectiveness of peer pressure in promoting positive outcomes largely depends on the classroom culture, on the teacher's guidance, and the nature of peer interactions. Teachers play a critical role in shaping the classroom environment and harnessing peer pressure for the benefit of students. They can encourage positive behaviors, foster a supportive learning atmosphere, as well as addressing the negative peer pressure when it arises. On the flip side, negative peer pressure can be detrimental. It can lead to risky behaviors such as cheating or substance abuse and even bullying. Negative peer pressure can also influence students to prioritize their social acceptance over sound decision making. The negative effects of peer pressure are endless. Some of them can include academic underperformance, bullying, risky behavior, social exclusion, etc. In this environment, students may feel pressure to conform to a lower standard of academic performance, or may be discouraged totally from excelling in their studies just to fit in with a less academically inclined peer group. This was me before ISB, where most of my peers didn't value academic performance as much as I did. And to fit in, I also started to conform to lower standards, but I now highly regret those actions. Peer pressure can sometimes lead to bullying and harassment, where students target their peers, and this behavior can have severe emotional and psychological consequences for the victims. Negative peer pressure can encourage students to engage in said risky behaviors, such as cheating or substance abuse or other harmful activities, which can have long-term negative consequences on the people's lives. This was also me a few years ago, where if I didn't do something my peers suggested, or I didn't behave in a specific way, then I was quote unquote betraying them or not being part of the group. And if I wanted to resist this negative peer pressure, I was perceived as different, or I may have experienced social exclusion and isolation, which can lead to feelings of loneliness and inadequacy. Students may also experience lower self-esteem if they feel like they don't measure up to standards set by their peer group. This pressure to conform to negative peer norms can lead to stress and anxiety, as students may constantly worry about fitting in and or meeting their peers' expectations. Again, this was an experience of mine. I used to be so self-aware about things I would say, or maybe even the way I was acting, just so I could fit in and conform to those negative norms. Next would be poor decision making, where negative peer pressure can lead to impulsive and poor decision making, as students may prioritize social acceptance over rational thinking and good judgment. So I think it's important for teachers and educational institutions to address this negative peer pressure and create a positive classroom culture that which promotes cooperation, promotes empathy and respect, while it discourages negative behaviors totally. Throughout the years where I had been facing these, say, challenges, I had wished that teachers had taken more control of the environment or the classroom, creating a safe and comfortable learning space. But I also wish I would have been more open to my parents. So the question may be posed as, how can parents and teachers help teenagers to make better decisions in the face of negative pressure? I brought this question up to my parents whilst trying to put together this episode, and their answer was something that they had always encouraged all throughout growing up, which was to maintain open and non-judgmental communication with one another. So their aim was basically to create an environment where we felt comfortable to discuss these concerns of ours. And I'm very thankful to them for doing such a great job of doing just that. Teachers, next, as I said earlier, should take control of the class and shift the class's focus from tearing each other down and creating this hostile space in the class to helping one another and creating a safe learning environment. Another question that might be posed on the topic of peer pressure is, how do technology and social media influence peer pressure in this digital age that we live in? And what can teens and their parents do to manage these pressures? Well, firstly, social media platforms often promote this need for likes, shares, comments, and any other type of interaction that may cause teens to feel pressure to conform to popular trends or behave in a certain way just to attract positive online attention. This ties in closely with comparison culture, which is a term used to describe these curated or idealized versions of others' lives on social media, where you might be left feeling inadequate or not popular or cool enough because you're not like that one beauty influencer or that famous blogger. Worst of all, these online platforms are a breeding ground for cyberbullying, which can lead teens to make awful decisions just to avoid this type of harassment. So in conclusion, peer pressure is an integral part of the adolescent experience, shaping the decisions that teens make in school and beyond. Understanding both its positive and negative aspects is crucial for helping young people navigate these formative years successfully. Adults can play a pivotal role in empowering teens to make informed choices and ultimately prepare them for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the world of peer pressure in schools. Until next time, stay curious and compassionate. If you found this episode informative and engaging, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with others. Your support helps us continue our mission to explore the issues that matter most to young people. Thank you.